Good evening, everyone. Ben Fighter with you here today, and I'm glad that I can share this narrative with you of how God and prayer are helping to alleviate the pain and hunger of the poor and needy there at the Gaza Strip. The title of this narrative is God's Humanitarian Peace Patrol to Gaza Strip, a prophetic vision a prophetic vision prayer of intercession. Omar felt a strong hand shaking him and saying, "Wake up! Wake up! The food trucks are here." Sleeping on a thin rug on the bare ground, the startled young man opened his eyes and saw a tall man dressed in white. "Put your sandals on and wake your people up. There's food and water being served for all of you at the trucks by the ocean." Food and water? That's all Omar needed to hear. Running to the other tents and makeshift shelters, he woke as many people as he could, and they all ran quickly towards the ocean, looking frantically all around. "Food trucks, where are they?" Omar, along with hundreds of other starving people who were now running frantically looking for the humanitarian food trucks, their tents were just outside the Deir al-Bala camp north of El-Brook in Jaffa. Suddenly, to their joy, they saw the white trucks with the emblem God's Humanitarian Peace Patrol. Tall, muscular men dressed in white had organized long lines of tables holding large 100-quart pots of delicious muhadara stew, baskets of pita bread, bottles of water, and fortified blended foods for the children and babies. After taking food and water to his wife and children who were too weak to come to the trucks, Omar returned to the serving line and asked politely if he could have a little more food for himself and for the others who were too weak to walk. "Of course," said the man in white, a big smile on his face. "There's plenty of food for all. Here, let me fill your buckets with stew." Omar's heart swelled with gratefulness as he took the stew and pita from the man who seemed to radiate light from his face. "Who are you?" Omar asked. "And who are all these kind people who are with you?" "I am Gabriel, an agent of God, as are all these others who are helping me to serve your food." "Shukran, shukran," Omar said as he took his food and went walking, almost running, back to the camps. Unbeknownst to Omar, a shooter on top of a distant hill was calibrating his telescopic rifle. He now had his victim in the crosshairs and slowly put his finger to the trigger. Before he could shoot, a humanitarian peace agent appeared and stepped in front of the rifle, blocking his view. Angrily, the shooter looked up and said, "What the hell are you doing? Get out of the way!" Gabriel looked sternly at the violent man. "Why do you want to shoot a poor, defenseless, starving man who is trying to take humanitarian food to his family and the wounded?" The startled shooter shook his head angrily and aimed his rifle at the man in white, aiming between the eyes. But Gabriel was lightning fast. With one swift move, he grabbed the rifle, bent it in half with his bare hands, and threw it to the side. The shooter, now confused and scared, backed off a few steps. He fumbled to grab another weapon hidden behind his back under his belt. Pulling out a small gun, he aimed and pulled the trigger several times, but the gun would not fire. Again, the man in white disarmed his adversary and said, "No weapon forged against me shall prosper." "Why are you doing this? Why are you so angry at these poor, defenseless people out here?" Falling Falling to his knees, the shooter yelled in anger, "These people do not belong here. This is our land. God gave it to us. We will not share it with them. There will be no peace." Gabriel sat on the ground and bid the man in front of him to do the same. "Now I want you to listen carefully to what I'm going to say to you. There is no peace in all of this land and surrounding countries because you and yours, among all those whom you have killed and murdered, have also killed the Prince of Peace. What had made this land holy has been violently cast down. All that emanates from this once holy land now is death, war, and desolation." The shooter, now disarmed, picked up rocks and started throwing them at Gabriel, yelling, "We don't care about any of that. This land is our land. It's ours forever. God gave it to us. It is our inheritance." The enraged man did not notice the rocks bouncing off an invisible barrier surrounding the tall man in white. Patiently, Gabriel tried to reason with the disturbed man, who still kept throwing rocks. "It would behoove you to read the parable where the Messiah spoke about the master of a vineyard who lent it out to farmers and then left for a while. Then, when it was harvest time, he sent his servants to collect his due. But the farmers took those servants and beat one and killed another and stoned the other one. The master of the vineyard had sent more servants to try and collect the money due to him, and the farmers again mistreated them and beat them up. But last of all, he sent his own son, saying, 'Surely they will honor and treat my son well.' But when the farmers saw the son, they said among themselves, 'This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let's seize his inheritance.' So when the Lord of the vineyard comes, what do you think he will do to those who murdered his own son?" That's right. He would miserably destroy those wicked men and give his vineyard to other people who would honor and respect him and his son. Therefore, you should know that the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to another nation and people who are righteous in the sight of God and bringing forth the good fruit of love, peace, and care for their fellow man, especially the widow and the children, the poor and the needy. End of narrative. Ben Fighter.